Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading, and today is May 26, 2025, and today is Monday morning. So looking at the highlights today, GBP pushes to new yearly highs versus the US dollar, but first, no major economic events scheduled for today. So looking at the market, starting off with the Forex signals, not just the GBP that extends its gains versus the US dollar, but the US dollar is weakening almost across the board. Now looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ get a pre-market bounce this week as they sold off last week, and that sell-off is completely erased. Now looking at commodities, gold slides lower after getting that nice bounce last week, and looking at the stocks, really mixed. And lastly, look at our cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin holding on to its gains as it made new record highs last week and holding on. So let's stick with the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here you go with the GBP USD. Boom. Right there. We called this out last week several times. I did say this. I communicated this. It was really flirting with that resistance level for quite some time, but finally breaking out. Now, the breakout is not extreme, and it's not followed with tremendous amount of volume. So with that said, I'm not so confident that it's going to sustain this, at least for the short term, okay? It may sustain it for the longer term, but for the short term, I don't think it's going to sustain itself. It's going to be like something like we saw with the Bitcoin, right? So where do we get resistance? Well, we get resistance just about here, okay? So it wasn't that big of a push higher, okay? We may see a further retracement, okay? But just keep an eye on this because this could be a decent retracement. Now, looking at the Canadian dollar, also got stronger versus US dollar to 136. That's a massive, massive correction for the Canadian dollar. Look, it looks like a V formation, just completely opposite, okay? And that's what's beautiful about it, is that it made that correctional move. This was a huge trading opportunity with, and this is the part that most people don't realize. Chaos creates huge opportunity. If you're able to stay in the moment and not get pulled in emotionally to what's going on in the markets and just have a clear-headed view of what's going on, and you can control yourself, that's a very powerful trader. Very, very powerful trader, right? So that's really super important. Look at this. Now, it's another week and another low for the Turkish lira. I mean, I don't have to say anything here. This is just continuously making future lows. I'm looking at gold, a slight retracement here from 33.65 down to 33.38. Again, it's very, very slight, but we did have a nice push up. Now, it's choppy trading, okay? There's nothing here that's jumping out at me to say, hey, this is a clear buy or a clear sell. It's trading within range. It's at the top end of a range, okay? It has a much larger range, from 34 to 3200, that's one, and then from 34 to 3100, that's on the extremities, okay? So we're just about the upper extremity here, but nothing really to write home. Crude oil and natural gas really not moving that much, so I'm going to jump into the U.S. markets. Now, Dow Jones getting a bounce this morning, okay, as markets are kind of coming back from last week, okay, and looking at the NASDAQ also, a decent bounce this morning to 2100, as that 21,000, excuse me, so that is coming back. Now, last week, Apple had a gap down, okay, which shows some sort of weakness in the stock, okay, but nothing really, again, nothing is trading in a trending market. Tesla also took a little bit of money off the market. The market's pausing and kind of waiting for some reinforcement. Either inflation's got to go down, the war in Ukraine, and Russia's going to have to, dissipate, the tariff wars that are going to have to work themselves out. Okay, all these things. Okay, the news this morning is really tariff between the EU was going to go into effect next week. They requested an extension. Trump issued an extension, so they're working on it. Okay, so that's the positive sign, but it's creating a very choppy market for where we are right now. JP Morgan trading at 260 here, as it has made a decent comeback, okay, from those lows of 200 back to 260, only about 20 bucks off of its all-time record highs. Now, jumping into, lastly, Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin's been very strong, okay, pushing to all-time record highs last week, okay, and then some, okay, and holding on to its gains and not retracing. That's showing that it's relatively strong, okay, at least for now. Okay, until it's making a confirmation that it goes below 107, maybe it'll go down to 105. Okay, you got to keep your eye peeled for this because this is super important because, you know, with Bitcoin, it could go very extremely. Okay, most of you know that. So that's the point. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.